I get my first wholesale check of $21,000.
Wow.
It was game over. 6 months later, I was at $100,000 a month.
Wow.
6 months prior, I almost quit the business. 6 months later, I remember I hit 104 and some change in wholesale checks. About 7-8 months after that, I hit my first $100,000 week.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the S.O.C University podcast. I'm your host, Adam Duty. We got a special guest in the building, but before we specifically get to him, this podcast is dedicated to anybody that wants to be self-made, self-paid, or boosting their personal career, brand, or business. This is season 1. So season 1, we're talking about entrepreneurship, mainly mental health, how to specifically think, how to specifically grow. Now back to our guest. So this guy, seriously, like, I have said certain things on this podcast so far, and some of this stuff has came from him. Actually, a lot of it has came from him, right? I don't even know how you would specifically describe this guy. Definitely a serial entrepreneur. Definitely up there in income. We were just looking at his car outside, which is wonderful to see. That's great. But right now he's doing wholesale real estate. Wholesaling real estate. He's done Airbnb. He's done sales and marketing. He's had offices in different states. Make some noise for Alex Inman, guys. We'll do the clap anyway. Alex Inman. What's up, bro?
What's up, man?
Wonderful, man. Appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you calling me, man.
Yeah, it's just exciting for you to be here, man. As I was saying, like the podcast is dedicated towards entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, man, it was a thing for me to be able to learn from people too as well.
Yeah.
My whole thing is just like sharpening my skills and getting more value, but learning from people and being able to give value and teach other people that want to do those same things.
Yeah.
So with you, I thought you were the perfect person to start, right? And I know we'll eventually do it again when I'm close to where I want to be.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time,
man.
for real.
This is a long time coming. We met 10 years ago, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer than that.
2012.
Okay.
Yeah, 2012.
I'm not good with dates.
I have a phenomenal memory.
Okay, that's good.
So I remember stuff from a long time ago. But
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's start off with like, I don't like to ask like the traditional questions, right?
Yeah.
But definitely I like to qualify the person that is speaking, right? So people know like, hey, this is somebody that I need to listen to, right? So however you want to narrate it, like take me to like the beginning, and then you can kind of go to where you are now.
Yeah.
But like that, just like qualify yourself, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story is simple. I'm one of 8 kids.
Okay.
So I have 3 brothers.
Okay.
4 sisters.
Okay.
And I grew up in a small town called Pike County, Georgia. The
Pike
address
County.
was actually Griffin, Georgia.
Okay.
On a dirt road.
Okay.
In a small town. So everything was small. Small mindset, small everything. But I had a great childhood.
Okay.
Had my mom and dad there. So I always talk about how grateful I am to have my mom and dad, because I know most people don't have that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, not to go from, middle school all the way to high school, but I heard the traditional things like everybody else.
Yeah.
Go to school.
Yeah.
Go to college.
Yeah.
Get a job, work your way up.
Yep.
And I heard all of this. And this was back in 2003.
Okay.
I'm taking you back now.
Yeah, so it was like, dang,
Yeah,
2003, that's 20.
They're like, how old are you? Yeah, I'm up there. But same thing they talking today.
Yeah.
Same thing they was talking back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing about me was, I was never just this book smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like studying. It dreaded me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went that route because that's all I knew.
Got it.
I had to start out at a junior college.
Got it.
I started out at a junior college because I didn't have the best grades.
Mm-hmm.
And as I started to go through college, I tried to I wanted to figure out, what am I doing? What am I going to do in my life?
Mm-hmm.
And as I started to get older, I just realized that I just wanted to make a lot of money. Like, I wanted to make a lot of money. That was,
Yeah.
and it was two reasons why I wanted to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And the first reason was I wanted to take care of my mother if something ever happened.
Yeah.
Because I was a mama's boy growing up. I was always been a mama's boy. I'm still a mama's boy now. I don't talk to her, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I love my mother to death. And I wanted a fast car.
Mm.
Like, so I'm taking you back now.
You said I wanted a fast car.
I'm taking you all the way back.
Okay.
So, and when I say, as I said earlier, I have a phenomenal memory. I remember points in my life, the months, the year, everything.
Yeah.
So I never forget. I'm going to junior college,
Mm-hmm.
and I discovered this website called YouTube. Yeah.
Really?
This is 2006.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
2006. I discovered this thing called YouTube, and I used to be in the library watching YouTube videos
Really?
of supercars. Because why was I doing that? Well, I'm gonna tell you exactly why.
Wow.
So I grew up in this small town, right? Everything's small. As soon as I turned 21, and I got a car, because it took me a while to get a car.
Yeah.
When I turned 21, I said, I am so over being in this little small town. Everything's small. Small mindset.
Yep.
Everything's small. Nothing's big. What I used to do was I used to drive from Griffin, Georgia to Atlanta
Okay.
to go to the club.
Okay.
And as I started to do this, because it was nothing like my brain, it had to escape this small environment.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, it's nothing here in this city.
Yeah.
So I used to drive up to Atlanta, Georgia to go to the club.
Mm.
Right? I was a clubber, So as I used to go to the club every weekend back and forth, what started to happen was, as I'm driving to, Lenox Mall and different areas, I started to see these neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hold on, people living like this? And I started to see these cars that I'd never seen before. I remember the first time I seen a Lamborghini. I was like, hold on, man, it's a whole nother world out here.
It is.
It's a whole nother world out here. And this is why a person has to understand that environment is going to be a make or break for you.
Yep.
Environment
100%.
is going to be a make or break for you. And your environment can be the city you live in. It also can be the people you hang around.
Absolutely.
It can be a sister, a brother, a spouse.
Yep.
It can be all those things. So, a long story short, as I continue to go back and forth to Atlanta every weekend, pretty much, I developed this desire to want more. So now here I am. I'm going to this junior college, and I was able to graduate junior college.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Little old Alex, who don't even study, barely studied. I was able to graduate, and then I ended up transferring to a school called Clayton State University.
Okay, I heard of that.
And that's where I, eventually graduated from.
Yep.
But there was a point in my life to where something shifted.
Okay.
And that shift was, I ended up meeting a mentor.
Yep. Okay.
So I ended up meeting a guy. I still follow this guy till this day. His name's Keith. And Keith invited me, and this was 2008.
Okay.
Keith invited me to a network marketing meeting. This
Really? Back then? That was a serious one.
2008.
That's a serious one.
I didn't know what network marketing was, right?
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't about the meeting that he invited me to. It was about the person he introduced me to. And I met this gentleman by the name of Robert.
Okay.
Robert was a multi-millionaire.
Okay.
He had this yellow Lamborghini parked outside the hotel.
Wow.
And man, I never forget that day, man. The reason why is because I still think about it to this day. I never forget that day is because I remember meeting that guy. I remember hearing him talk, and I never forget coming out of that meeting. Now, I never went and made money in that business, but I never forget coming out of that meeting. I was like, "There's a way out. It's possible."
Yeah.
I'm thinking that I'm just gonna be average, just like everybody in this small town forever.
Mm.
I'm thinking that this is my only destiny.
Mm.
I'm thinking that whatever's in this town, the highest levels in this town, that's the highest that I can go.
Mm.
And then I messed around and met this gentleman
Mm-hmm.
who was making millions of dollars, all the cars, all the stuff that was so out of reach that I was watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing
Yeah.
in my face. I'm now seeing it.
Yeah.
And man, I never forget. That's the day. That day, I was like, I'm getting rich.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm getting rich. This whole school thing, this whole university thing, man, y'all can have that.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can have that. You know what? I'm just gonna graduate because I want to make my parents proud.
Yeah.
I want them to know that, okay, I went to school and got a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But from that point on, as I was going through college,
Yeah.
I knew college wasn't my ticket.
Mm.
I knew it wasn't. So I knew I was going to have to get in some type of business,
Yep.
in some type of endeavor, so I can live the lifestyle like that robber guy. See, everybody has a level of inspiration
Mm-hmm.
on what's going to take them to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Me, my inspiration was driving a better car.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that,
Yeah.
right? I was driving around, like, anybody who knows me in college, man, I drove around my mom's minivan through college.
Really?
I drove a minivan through college.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that ain't player.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Understand?
But I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
I didn't have any money. I didn't have, when you're going through college, and majority of these people, they don't have any money.
Yeah.
You ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They teach you to go to school so you can get a degree, so you can use the degree to make more money. But you're extracting money the entire time you're going to school.
100%.
It's like the negative effect. It's like the Uno reverse card.
Hopefully
It's like
people know what that
reverse,
is. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like it does the complete opposite
Yeah.
of what it portrays
I agree.
that it's supposed to do.
I agree.
So you go to school, you're not really learning. And listen, I'm not here to down college, but I'm here to give you a reality of so many people
Absolutely.
have went down that road
Absolutely.
and say the same thing.
Absolutely.
And if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck,
It's a duck.
It's a duck.
100%.
So for me, I had to go through that process to learn that, okay, this ain't the way.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't the way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it started for me, man. It was meeting somebody. It was meeting somebody that was living a life that had it, that had the money, that had the cars, that had what I thought was impossible to get.
Mm-hmm.
And he had it.
So let me ask you.
Is that my phone going on?
I don't know.
Yeah, that is my phone.
So let me ask you, when you were in that, and just something you said, when you were in that mindset and you were like, this is not for me, right? Did you say that to anybody? Were you talking to anybody? Like, did anybody try to stop you from, like, thinking that way about school? Or was it not really?
No.
It wasn't? Okay.
Because you don't need to broadcast your dream to people.
Dropping gems.
Your dream is your dream only.
Yep.
And I talk about my mom and dad were so big inspirations to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of two reasons. And hopefully you understand what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad really didn't give me any direction.
Okay.
And I don't say that as a negative thing.
Yeah.
They didn't really give me a direction. It was just like, go to school.
Yep.
Right? So I'm like, okay, I guess I need to go to school.
Yep.
And they never was like, well, you should go to this school or that school, or you should do this major or that major or this or that. It was like, just go to school. And So because they didn't give me any direction, I took the direction of the first figure, or the first, I would say, authoritative figure that I saw, which was that millionaire.
Oh, got you. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Because most people, they can't go to their parents and be like, hey man, I just came from a meeting, I'm about to go get rich. Most parents look at them like they're crazy.
Right, absolutely.
But for me, I had it deep in me. I was like, I'm going for this thing, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what the business is.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's gonna take me.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is possible to live, like how I see this gentleman living, and if he can do it, I can do it too.
Okay.
So as I was going through school, man, I was trying different business ideas.
Okay.
I never forget. This is around 2008. I never forget. I bought this eBay course.
Okay.
2008, to where you start doing eBay. This is around the time to where eBay was climbing up there. It's not as big as it is today.
Yeah.
But I never forget, the eBay course. I never forget joining different network marketing companies. I never forget when I was in college, I would sell shoes. I would paint shoes and customize them and sell them.
Really?
Man, I was doing whatever.
You was doing that back then. Okay.
I was doing whatever. And I was doing that all the way up until the point to where I graduated and got into the business to where I eventually met you.
Yep. Okay. Dang.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know. Here I thought you showed up. I heard you talk about college and everything before, but I didn't know all of that. Of course, I didn't know. I didn't even know you were thinking that way at that time. Right. Yeah. I just know that for y'all that don't know, when I met him, I'm like, this dude is crazy. Like it wasn't like natural crazy, but I didn't understand the way that he was thinking at all. Not even then.
I was on a mission, bro.
I didn't understand it then. Like it was just like, I wasn't from the Lake County where I was in Illinois. It was just, like you said, it was a certain amount of people, certain status, and that was it. Right.
Yep.
And I was like, this dude is crazy. Like, he's just thinking that stuff ain't gonna happen, because I was used to thinking at my level or lower, because I didn't really know or see anybody else. Yeah. Right? Dang, that's crazy. Yeah. I literally thought this dude was crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Listen, bro. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this well. If you ain't crazy, the chances of you making big money are almost slim to none. You're gonna have to come a little bit of crazy to go break out of your income level, your comfort zone, whatever. You're gonna have some type of, and I was thinking about this week. You're gonna have some level of delusion to accomplish something. It's because if you live in reality, you're gonna look at your current bank account and your current circumstances, and you're gonna let that determine the decisions you make. No. They ain't gonna work.
100. Dropping gems.
They ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dang. Okay. So take me to the point where, like, we're in the business, right? Yeah. So, and then let's get to what you're doing now, right? I want to make sure we got a lot of time to talk about that. So just take me to the point where we met in the business. It don't have to necessarily be about me and you, right? But at that time, what were you looking for out of that business?
So, just like you, or just like anybody that come into this business, I was just looking for a job.
Yep.
I was just looking for a job. So here I am. I graduated college in 2011.
Okay.
And here I am. I now got this degree, but now I got this degree and no money.
Yep.
I never forget. It was May 2011. Here I am. I just walked across the stage, and now I'm back into my apartment on Highway 85 in Riverdale, Georgia, my little one-bedroom apartment. I ain't got nothing. I just got this degree. I just spent all these years getting this degree, but now here I am. Anybody, if you know anything about Riverdale, Georgia, you know that it ain't the best place.
Yeah.
And here I am. I done went all these years going to school, and ain't got nothing to show for it. I'm actually behind because all the student loans.
Yeah, the debt. Yep.
So I was, luckily for me, I joined a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi.
Okay.
And a fraternity brother of mine, he was able to connect me with a young lady who was looking for a property management position at an apartment complex.
I do remember that. Yeah.
So I went on this interview. It was a good interview, and she was like, "Hey, you seem great. We want to give you the job." And I'm thinking, I don't know nothing about managing an entire property.
Yep.
So she said, okay, we'll give you two options. First option is you can manage this apartment complex, or we'll start you off at ground level, entry level leasing agent at this apartment complex.
Okay.
And I said to myself, well, I don't know anything about the business, so let me just start entry level.
Okay.
So I was humble enough to start entry level to learn everything about property management.
Okay.
So summer 2011, you know, I got this leasing agent position, and I was just a guy at the desk taking rents, you know, running applications for, you know, new tenants.
Okay.
Walking the property, make sure everything was okay. And that was my first job out of college.
Really?
That was my first job out of college.
Okay.
Yeah. So from there, I did that for about 7 or 8 months.
Okay.
And if anybody knows anything about, you know, when you're starting a new career, if the company starts cutting back, because I was the last person hired, I was the first person fired.
Okay.
So here I am. I'm back to square one. This is 2012.
Okay.
And I never forget, because my money was low, I used to go to the school library.
Okay.
That the college that I graduated from.
Yeah.
I used to go back to the library to apply for jobs on their computers.
Okay.
Because I didn't have one.
Okay.
So here I am. I'm going back to the school I graduated from on the computers every day applying for jobs.
Yeah. Wow.
And I did that for about 12 weeks.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know what was going on at that time. Maybe it was me. Maybe my work ethic wasn't hard enough. Maybe I didn't look hard enough.
Okay.
But man, I couldn't find nothing to save my life, you know, in that time frame. I couldn't find nothing. And one of the only interviews that I almost did not go on, I almost didn't go on the interview.
Same for me.
Was the interview where I met you. Was the business to where, you know, the management training program.
Okay.
And I never forget going to that interview. I never forget putting my suit on, meeting a gentleman named Nelson. And
Nelson.
The rest was history, man. I liked those guys. I really didn't know what they did. But it didn't matter. I didn't have nothing. I had no money. When I'm gonna say no? So I started in that business, man. And that business, just to give everybody a context, is commission sales. It's the deepest of sales you can get into.
Absolutely. Yep.
Meaning that if you don't sell, you don't eat.
You don't eat. Yeah.
And that's how my life turned into, I had to make my own money. And that's how I really developed my skills as an entrepreneur, was because everything was based on me.
Yep.
If it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Yep.
So because I
love it.
now was in a business to where if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Yep.
I started to increase my skills about myself. I started to discover all the imperfections of myself that I had in my life. And the reason why I think everyone needs to get into some type of business or some type of entrepreneur endeavor is because you're going to learn things about yourself that you would never find out if you never would have gotten that business.
Got it.
I think for everybody, there's certain skills that you haven't developed. Because you haven't developed them, you would never go to the next level. Like, I had a coach named JT. He would always say, for every level, there's a new devil. You know, it took
Explain that for those that don't understand that.
Man, every level, there's a new devil. It means that some of you may be watching this and you may want to get to 6 figures. Okay? It took me, if we just start from the time I got into that business, it took me 6 years to make my first $100,000. It took everything. I mean, it took me moving all across the United States.
Yep.
Just to figure out how to make my first $100,000. But the next devil is figuring out how to save $100,000. That was even harder. That was a whole new devil. So when I say, as you continue to go up, there's going to be challenges. You may have to switch businesses. You may have to switch spouses. There's going to be something that you're going to have to change in order to continue to go up. You got to get better.
Nice.
So in whatever the endeavor is, the endeavor is going to cause you to get better at you so you can get to the next level. Because there's a devil at that level waiting on you.
I like it.
And if you don't have the skills, you ain't going to beat it. This is why most people stay where they are, because they don't want to face the devil.
Yep.
What's the devil? Oh, getting better. Oh, what? I got to get better? Yeah, stupid. You got to get better.
That's what's up. Yep.
So most people, they don't understand that, man. If it's meant to be, it's up to me.
I love it.
You got to realize the only hand you can depend on is the one at the end of your wrist.
I love it.
Like, it is all up to you.
Yeah.
You're not in this world alone, but you came here alone.
Yep.
And you're leaving alone. So it's all self-reflection.
Nice.
And getting to the next level in anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny that you said that. You see that what's written on there.
Yeah, I see your goal. Yeah.
Well, you was talking about having a certain amount saved. I got it written down there. So yeah, absolutely. That's what's up. All right. So another thing. So let's go to the end of the business, right?
Yeah.
And then let's get to, what would you say is like, I know we learned a lot of things at that time.
Yeah.
But what would you say is like one of the most important things that you learned from that business that put you to where you are now? But hold on. Before you get there, dude, I'm telling you, I remember being in the office with him. It was just me and him, right? And I was just telling him this before we started. Like, there's a lot of things that I remember that he taught me and we talked about. But the main thing that he taught me was like, you gotta master the art of talking to yourself. Yeah. Once he said that to me, it was just like a light bulb and a switch. Yeah. And I didn't understand it at that time. But a couple years later, I was like, dang, like 99% of the time, it's me talking to myself, whether I can do this or do this business or make this certain amount of money. It's me. I'm talking to myself. So if I say I can't do it, or that's too big of a goal, I couldn't hit it. And I remember you saying, all right, you want to do this, you want to do that. And you'd be like, well, why don't you want to do more? Well, why don't you want to make more? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is just teaching me to think bigger, right? I know I was ranting a little bit, but what would you think is like the biggest thing that you learned from that business?
The biggest thing I learned from that business is that was that you can never stop. You can never stop. And what I mean by never stop is we got rejected all day, every day.
All the time. All the time.
Like, our day was filled, jam-packed with rejection.
Yep.
Customer after customer after customer after customer after customer.
Yep.
And you had to show up again.
And
you had to just keep going. And you had to just keep going. And you had to just keep going. And you had to just keep going. And you could have had a bad day, but guess what? You got to get up the next day and come do it again.
And do it again. Absolutely.
And again and again and again. And that business taught me that I only stop if I stop, the dream stops. So if I don't stop, I will eventually get my yes. In that business, the yes was selling a cable package. But for most of you watching, that yes may be making your first 100,000. It may take you 5 years. It may take you 10 years. But if you stop, it will never happen.
Exactly.
So that business taught me to just keep going, man.
Got it.
If I can take the one thing, just keep going.
Nice. I like it. I remember you used to be like, man, who can take the most no's? I remember shaking your head like, let's see who can take the most. I'm gonna take more no's than you. Yeah. The sales definitely taught me. It taught me a whole bunch about myself.
Yeah.
It taught me a whole bunch.
Sales is the number one thing. I credit till this day. Sales helped me in every area of my life. Every area.
Absolutely.
Being able to negotiate. The condo that I live right now in Buckhead, I negotiated that.
Really?
Right?
We gonna have to get into that too.
Listen, man, if you're a guy dealing with women, if you ain't got sales skills, you ain't gonna be that good with women.
You're done.
You know,
You're
like
done.
everything equates to sales.
Absolutely.
Everything equates to sales.
Yep.
So I credit that business with giving me, I would say, the gift of gab. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So let's get into where you are now, like how you get into wholesaling, right? Yeah. I don't know much about it, right?
Yeah.
So let me give you my uneducated version of what I think it is.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So before I thought, also what I'm doing right now, I thought was an easy way to get into real estate, but I wouldn't say it's the most lucrative, right? But it's a way for me to start. So I like buy mobile homes, resell them, stuff like that, right? Yeah. I have another one that I'm working on back in Mobile, actually with a guy that you know, and we'll talk about that. Yeah. But wholesaling, I feel like for in general terms is, I'm assuming, and I try not to look it up and try to just go off of what I've heard, right? Yeah. Assuming someone else owns a property, right? Mm-hmm. You somehow contact that person and try to get a deal where you can sell that property under contract to somebody else in a certain amount of time.
Yeah, wholesaling is simply flipping contracts.
Okay.
So to keep it simple, I get a property under contract with a property owner, Tom.
Okay.
Tom, let's get an agreement together. I'm going to buy 123 Main Street for $100,000.
Okay.
So me, Alex, I'm going to get a contract with Tom. Alex is going to buy 123 Main Street from Tom, get it on a piece of paper. I'm going to buy it for $100,000. We're going to close in 30 days.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that contract and I'm going to market it to an investor who wants to buy the property.
Okay.
And I may mark that contract. I may say, hey, I'm selling this property here at 123 Main Street because in my agreement, it says that I have marketable interest and it's assignable. So now I can market this contract that I have and I can market to James. Okay. James is an investor in the area.
Okay.
He loves buying houses in this area. And I go to James and say, hey, James, I got this property for sale for $110,000. James looks at the property. He says, okay, great. So on the day of closing, I get an agreement with James. So now I have two contracts, two agreements.
Okay.
And what I do is I take both of these agreements to a title company, to a title lawyer. So now on the day of closing, James is going to come in. He's going to sign the document saying that James is buying a property from Alex on 123 Main Street for $110,000.
Okay.
He wires the money in. Okay. On the same day, Tom, the property owner, he comes in. He says, I'm selling the property to Alex for $100,000 on 123 Main Street.
And you keep the
He circles, he signs the paperwork.
Okay.
And then what happens is the title company, they wire the $100,000 to Tom.
Okay.
They give the deed now to James, and there's a $10,000 spread left in there. And that $10,000 spread comes to me as a wholesale fee.
Wonderful. Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay. Yeah. Dang. So what made you get into that? Was it somebody that you knew that made you get into wholesaling?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story.
Okay.
So here it is. If I take you back to 2018. Okay. 2018, I discovered Airbnb. Discovered Airbnb in 2018. I didn't know what it was. Yeah. And I was intrigued by the concept was because when I first started staying in Airbnbs, I was questioning, why am I paying so much money for these Airbnbs?
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, it's a great part of town, but I just gave this person $500 for 3 days.
Ridiculous.
And I'm like, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I know the rent here is only about $1,200.
And they making money, exactly.
And I just gave them $500 for 3 days. Somebody making some money.
Absolutely.
So in 2018, I got my first Airbnb. Okay. And started making money. And at that time, I was in another business. And I said, you know what, this Airbnb thing, I think this is going to be very lucrative. Okay. Because the first one that I got, it was doing so well. At this time, I was living in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, Nashville.
So, yeah, I'm living in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So, I go full-time in Airbnb. In 2019, I got up to about 8 units. My biggest month was maybe about $40,000 a month. But the thing about Airbnb was it has so many expenses. My expenses were so high. I have to pay and I did what's called rental arbitrage.
Okay.
Rental arbitrage is when you get a lease with a property owner, and you say, "Hey, I'm going to rent your property from you for $1,200 a month."
Yep.
And this is what I'm going to do corporate leasing.
Yep.
And I'll even pay you $1,300 a month for allowing me to rent out your property.
Yep.
And they'll be like, okay, great. You're going to pay me more money and you're going to take care of the property. Great. You take the property and you list it on Airbnb, and the property may make $3,000 a month.
Right.
So I'm giving this property owner $1,300 a month, and I'm keeping that other $1,700. Now take away $300-$400 for like internet expenses and things like that.
Yeah.
But now that unit is making about $1,300 a month. And if you go get 5 of those, I mean, that's what, $7,000 a month?
Yep.
So that's what I was doing in 2019.
Okay.
But my expenses were extremely high. But it was still a lucrative business.
Okay.
So here it is. I got a friend, David, great friend. I still know him. And David, he says, Alex, man, I want to know about this Airbnb thing. I says, hey, man, no problem. And I never forget driving down to Savannah, Georgia, because that's where he was. I drove down to Savannah, Georgia, man, to tell him about this Airbnb thing. And David, he says, hey, man, I got my friend coming along, if that's okay. I said, hey, no problem. So the friend shows up, and I said, hey, man, pleasure to meet you. What do you do? And he says, man, I do this thing called wholesaling. And I was like, what's wholesaling?
Yeah.
And he says, pretty much broke it down just how I broke it down. I was like, okay. And I didn't think none of it. Didn't think none of it anymore. So I leave Savannah and I tell the guy, because they both came there because they wanted to know what it was going to take to start an Airbnb.
Right.
At that time, I already had about 3 or 4 units doing well. So they wanted some coaching, right? Some mentorship. So I said, hey, no problem. It was my good friend, David. He'd done a lot of things for me in the past. Yep. So I said, hey, absolutely, no problem. So I drove down there for an hour meeting and turn around and drive back. So, and I want you to think about it. I took a full two days out of my schedule to drive from Nashville to Savannah, Georgia, just to sit down for an hour with my friend. But little did he know, he gave me the biggest blessing of my life. He brought a friend who came in and introduced me to wholesaling. I'm thinking I'm going down to Savannah to tell him about Airbnb. I went down to Savannah to get the biggest opportunity of my lifetime. So I left from there, didn't think about it anymore. I told the guy, hey, look, if you ever decide to start one of these up, just give me a call. That was in March of 2019. I get a call from the gentleman December 2019. He says, hey, Alex, I'm about to start my first Airbnb. I said, man, congratulations. Do this, and this. He was like, all right, man, appreciate it. I said, so how everything's going on your end, man? He's like, man, everything's going good. I'm about to close a deal. I said, man, tell me about that thing again you do. What's it called? He said, wholesaling? And he was like, yeah, man. And he broke it down again. And I'm listening to him. And I was like, man, this just seemed too good to be true. It can't be that simple. You mean to tell me you making $5,000-$10,000 flipping pieces of paper? He was like, yeah. And I said, man, it just seems too simple. Something's off. And I didn't do nothing.
Funny.
And I didn't do nothing, right? So January 2020 comes around. This is the next month, right? And I'm on Facebook one day scrolling. You know how you do when you're on Instagram, Facebook. You're just scrolling. And I see a guy that I used to work with years ago named Chevy. You remember Chevy?
No.
Yeah. Shout out to Chevy. You ever see this, man? Shout out to you. I see Chevy walking properties with his phone doing Facebook Lives. And I seen this over a consecutive amount of weeks. And I was like, he must be in real estate. Because I'm doing Airbnb, so I'm in the space. Right. So I was like, okay, I'm curious about what he's doing. He keeps walking these properties. Is he flipping them? Is he renting them out? I'm not sure what he's doing. Yeah. So I messaged him on Facebook. We connect, we exchange numbers, and we call each other. And he says, man, what have you been doing? I said, man, I've been doing Airbnb. And I told him about how my past year was and the whole nine. And I said, man, what are you doing? He says, man, I'm doing wholesaling. I said, man,
you hear it again. Yeah.
I said, why I keep hearing about this thing called wholesaling?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, man, I've already made $20,000 this month. And I said, you did what? He said, man, I already made $20,000 this month. There's an old quote I heard long time ago from an old mentor of mine. He said, if you hear about something once, it may be a fluke. You hear about something twice, you may want to pay attention. But if you hear about something a third time, it may be too late.
Yep.
And that quote hit me that day. I said,
wow.
There's no coincidence I keep hearing about this thing called wholesaling. It's like no coincidence. I said, hey, man, what do I need to do to get started in this? He gave me some basic tips.
Okay.
He gave me some basic things to start doing.
Okay.
And here's the key that you need to take in this. I started that day. I didn't wait for a prayer.
Yeah.
I didn't wait for a sign.
Nice.
I didn't wait for, some miracle. This was on a Saturday. I started on Sunday.
Nice.
I took action within 24 hours.
Yep.
Now, I didn't know it was going to take me forever to get my first deal. But I knew what I heard. I knew I kept hearing about this thing.
Yeah.
And I knew what the possibilities were because that same guy, he said, hey, man, there's actually the biggest wholesaling event that's actually going to be in Atlanta in about 2 weeks. And I was like, really? He was like, what's the event? He said, it's called We Live. It's called Wholesaling Elite Live.
I think I heard of that.
So I go online. I look at the tickets. The regular admission is sold out. I'm like, okay. I go to the next tickets. The VIP. The VIP tickets are sold out. So I go all the way down to the last tickets that they have. The only tickets that are available are the Mastermind tickets. The Mastermind tickets are $2,000 a ticket. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money. Because at that time, my Airbnb business, it was okay, but my expenses were so high.
Got you.
And I was doing everything off of credit card debt.
Got you.
So this is where everybody in your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to go through Crossroads. You're going to come to Crossroads. This is one of those crossroads that you're going to go through in order to get to the next level. Remember when I say every level there's a new devil?
Absolutely.
The devil may not actually be a person. The devil may be a decision that you have to make.
Okay.
That decision is going to be the make or break of you going to the next level.
Got you.
So here it is. I don't got the money, but I got this credit card. So I was like, this is exactly what I told myself. I'll never forget. I said, I don't got the money, so I can't go to this event. But if I don't go to the event, I will never make the money.
Absolutely. Yep.
That was my thought process.
Dang.
I was like, okay, I don't have the money to go. But if I don't go, then I'm never going to make any money.
Right.
So I swiped the credit card.
To pay for the event.
To pay for the ticket.
Okay.
I go to this mastermind. Remember, I'm brand new.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing. I'm 2 weeks in. And here it is. I'm in this room with all these elite wholesalers that are running companies that are doing millions of dollars a year, and I'm the new guy. And I'm in this mastermind, and everybody's introducing themselves. And it gets to me, and I'm like, hey, my name's Alex. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know anything about wholesaling. I just got started 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And my goal is to get rich. Everybody started laughing.
They loved it. Yeah.
They loved it. It was like, yeah, we like this guy. He's enthused. So listen, that was all I cared about. So Here I am. I go to the meeting, and I have a notebook full of notes. I'm taking notes the entire weekend.
Nice.
I'm taking notes. I'm writing everything down. I said, I need to know every and anything about this business because this meeting is not going to happen probably for another year. And what happened is this thing called COVID hit. The meeting never came back.
Really? Got it.
The meeting never came back.
Mm.
So I got a chance to go to the last meeting.
Wow.
So remember, this is February 2020. I go to that meeting.
Okay.
I start the business. I'm just doing it part-time. I'm not really doing it fully because I still have my Airbnb business on the side.
Okay. I was about to ask that.
And everybody knows what happened the middle of March 2020. COVID
What
hit.
happened? Oh, yeah.
The world shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, understand this. I'm running an Airbnb business. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you know anything about Nashville, it's a tourist city.
Yep.
It's a tourist city. So think about it. 95% of my guests are from out of town. They ain't driving there. They're flying there. So if the world is shut down and travel is shut down, is anybody coming into my city?
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. My business went
Wow.
from here to here
Wow.
within 3 days
Wow.
because they wiped all my reservations.
Wow.
And now...
So wait, they stopped people from booking? Is that what you're saying? Or just
They
nobody?
wiped all the reservations because nobody... Remember, they grounded all the planes.
You're right. Dang.
They grounded all the planes when COVID hit.
Okay.
Nobody was traveling. There was a travel ban.
Yeah.
So here it is, 3 months worth of reservations gone.
Okay.
So I'm like, what am I going to do? I couldn't go out and start another Airbnb because
Okay.
who was going to book it?
Right.
Nobody was coming into town,
Nobody's
right?
gonna book it.
So here it is, April 2020, and I got no income. I can't grow my Airbnb business because people can't travel. And the only thing I got that I can potentially do is this thing called wholesaling. And that's when I went all out.
Okay.
And the reason why I talk to a lot of, I would say, mentees now, people who want to get into the business, people who want to do the business. And one of the number one things that I tell people is the reason why you haven't gotten the success that you want yet is because you don't have to do the business. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, you have a
I
job.
see what you're saying. Yep.
You got a car. You're not about to get evicted. You got a paycheck coming every week. There's no sense of urgency or the dire need for you to go all out in this business because it's not bad enough for you to do that yet. It's your circumstances aren't that bad. You don't need to. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I had to do it. I had zero income coming in. In March of 2020, I went all out, but still, even with me going all out, I was going all out in the wrong direction.
Okay.
And this is why I talk about mentors so much, and I talk about the power of your environment. Here I am trying to figure out and learn this business, but I don't know what I'm fully doing. Because remember, I'm on my own.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I never forget, I told myself, Alex, how have you been successful at anything you've ever done? And I always say to myself is coaches. Like somebody showed me the way.
Got it.
Somebody showed me how to do it.
Okay.
So I never forget, I went out and I started searching for coaches.
Okay.
I never forget, I found the gentleman who at that time was wholesaling for about, 8 years. He was doing about 7 figures a year. And I never forget having a conversation with him. And it got to the end of the conversation, and he's like, my coaching program is $5,000.
You're like, oh, Lord.
I'm like, here we go again, right?
Yeah, yep.
A new devil. Right? That was the next devil.
I see what you're saying now. Yep. Makes
Every
perfect
level,
sense.
there's a new devil.
Got you. Yep.
So here it is. I now got to come up with $5,000. And y'all know the answer to this. I ain't got the money. I don't have the money. By a stroke of magic. This is summer 2020. I was living in an apartment complex and I'd never go to my mailbox. Like ever. If you live in an apartment complex, and your mailbox is like in the front of the
farther away. Yeah.
Like you never go.
Mm-hmm.
And something tells me to go check the mailbox. This is probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks later.
Mm.
And I go check the mailbox. And before I open the mailbox, I said to myself, man, what if there's a check in here? This is why every time till this day,
I talk about that now.
I always wonder if there's a check in my mailbox. I always wonder if there's some money waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the mailbox and I say this to myself. And I said, man, you crazy. And I just opened the mailbox. And if you know anything about your mailbox in an apartment complex, it's full of what?
Mm-hmm.
Newspapers,
advertisements, all that.
catalogs, coupons. Yeah. So here I am. I'm going through. I'm throwing everything away. I see all the bills that's getting sent to me. And I get to the end of the stack. And as I get to the end of the stack, I see this last envelope. And I look at the envelope. And I see a picture of this Statue of Liberty lady.
Yeah.
In this like goldish, greenish color.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm pretty sure you watching, you know who that lady is. Mm-hmm. That's the tax Statue of Liberty lady.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the envelope. I opened the envelope, and it's my refund check that's been sitting in the mailbox of $12,000.
Wow. It's been sitting there because you haven't been checking the mail.
I haven't been checking the mail.
That's
bro,
crazy.
I almost dropped to my knees, bro. And I was like, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah. Wow.
See, the devil was opposed is making a decision to say, oh, I ain't got the money and I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 weeks, I was trying to figure out how to get the money.
Mm.
That was the devil. I was like, do you really want this bad enough to try to figure out to pay this stranger who you've never met, who lives in a totally different state, who could be scamming you?
Absolutely. Yep.
And the devil was being able to eliminate all the doubt and fear and go for it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I paid this guy $5,000. I trained with him for 4 months.
Okay.
He teaches me. We meet every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Like, all this is burnt in my brain. I remember all this like it was yesterday.
Okay.
He's training me every Tuesday at 10 a.m. He's teaching me all the basics of the business.
Okay.
Everything I need to know from the ground floor up. See, when I went to that meeting and when I was starting to do the business, I knew all the things to do to the business. I just didn't know how to put it together. It's like taking a box of puzzle pieces and putting it all on the table. Like, I got all the ingredients for the puzzle. I just don't know how to put it together.
Got it.
And this gentleman showed me how to put it together.
Okay. So
I trained with him for 4 months, and I'm working the business. Remember, I'm still not really making any income from Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
And the last devil I had to face, and this is for anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
The last devil I had to face, it wasn't a, me having to get money for a program.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't me, trying to wrapping around my mind if I should make the decision to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
The last devil I had to face was me.
Why you say that?
Was because here I am, I'm 9 months in the business and I'm not making any money. And I'm getting to the point to where I'm about to give up. I'm about to give up. Because I've now dished out all this money. I want you to think about it. Count it up. $2,000 for that meeting.
Yep.
$5,000 for the coach.
Yep.
A couple other $1,000 for software programs and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is, man. I'm at the end. It's like I've spent all this money. I've dedicated all this time. And it's not working. And the last devil that I had to get over was the things that I've always preached, which is you got to keep going no matter what. And I never forget, I made that decision on a Saturday. I almost quit on a Saturday. I never forget the Saturday. I almost quit. Quit. And something said, just go to work, man. Just stay focused. Just take the stuff that he gave you and just go to work. Saturday, I made the decision to keep going. Monday, I called the lead who wanted to sell her house at 8:45 at night. Thursday, I go to meet her at the house and I get a contract.
Wow.
2 weeks later, I get my first wholesale check of $21,000.
Wow. Change everything like that.
It was game over. It was game over. 6 months later, I was at $100,000 a month.
Wow. I hope y'all heard that. That's what's up.
So 6 months prior, I almost quit the business. 6 months later, I remember I hit 104 and some change in wholesale checks. About 7-8 months after that, I hit my first $100,000 week. About a month or two after that, I moved into a penthouse. A year later, I bought the Maserati cash that's outside.
Yeah. It's a nice
30
car.
days later, I bought a $200,000 Aston Martin cash.
Wow.
For Christmas, I gave my dad $10,000.
Wow.
That April, I donated $30,000 to the Ukraine fund.
Wow.
And I can go on.
That's crazy.
And on and on.
That's crazy.
And I don't say that to impress people. I say that is you're gonna have to have a certain level of delusion. Like I said in the beginning. Like, bro, I was delusional. I was like, bro, this ain't working. I'm not making no money.
Yeah.
I just paid this guy. Everybody making money except me. You gotta be a little crazy.
Yep, like we talked about. Absolutely.
You gotta have a little something has to be off. But the thing is you can't wallow in your current reality. Because of the current reality or the current situation that you in is not giving you the results that you want, you gotta do something different, even if it's crazy.
Yep.
Doing something different and crazy is doing something better than what you're doing now and is getting no results.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's how I'm here today.
Wow.
That's what we are.
That's dope, man. I want to go into something before I forget to ask you. You said something about you got the information one day. And then you started the next day.
Absolutely.
Like so many people I know in entrepreneurs, they do information overload.
Yeah.
Like they just did so much
It's
consuming
called
without doing
paralysis
it.
by overanalysis.
Okay.
You're paralyzed by analyzing too much.
Yep.
And it freezes you
Listen to what he's saying.
from taking action.
Listen to what he's saying.
So what you do is you look at YouTube videos all day. You go to seminars. You join programs, but you're not doing nothing.
Yep.
And the only way to move forward is to take a step forward. You
Nice.
actually have to move. So if you're not actually moving and doing something, none of that stuff matters anyway.
100%.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.